Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my very small YouTube channel about knitting. My name is Isabelle, I am in France, I have 3 sons and I have 3 cats. If you've watched episode 100, you know why it's related. And I'm filming these videos in English because I miss my English so very much. I used to live in the United States over 32 years ago, and I don't have that many opportunities to practice talking in English any longer. So you are my own opportunity to do so about once a week. So today it's going to be a regular knitting adventure episode about my works in progress. I have no finished object, and if that sounds good to you, please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned. Okay, so first, my work in progress, and I have no finished object. You may know that I have been injured, so I'm slowly getting back into knitting, and I could knit with my mohair last week. So I have no finished object because my knitting time has been much lower than usual. And also I had the 2 days work in Paris, so I had enough time to work in the train, but during those 2 days I had absolutely no time for myself. And last 4 days I went to a music festival that is taking place very close to me. So I was working during the day and going to the music festival during the evening, so no knitting time. And also, as it is very warm today and right now in France, I'm not wearing any knits. I'm wearing my, some of you have talked about it, of my dresses. So this is a not perfect linen dress. I will leave their website down below. There was a big issue with that dress and another one I ordered a long time ago. They came, it was not the right size. Anyway, they sent it again to me and it's the right size today. So my first work in progress is the oldest one. It lives in my cocoon tree little bag, and this is the one I brought to Paris with me. My notes. You see, I don't take digital notes with my knitting. I usually write. This is the way I was used so long ago. So I take my notes on the pattern page that I've printed. I usually print only what's necessary. And Ramses is on the table. He may have seen another cat outside. Unfortunately, during my travels, the little silk pom-pom that was at the end of the handle broke. I got it back. I need to do something about it. And this little pouch, which is by the cocoon tree, you can see it. Let me see if I can hide my eyes and show it to you. It's not focusing. I don't know why. Anyway, the cocoon tree. I will leave their details down below. Was a gift by Amy Palco. She sent it to me some time ago. She had a giveaway. Okay, so the powder puff Cowl that is knitted all in mohair with mohair that my dear Rosemary sent me, the wagtail mohair, and this one is, let me see, fine kid mohair 2-ply. The color is variegated cyan, and this is the powder puff Cowl by Branca Medlock. This pattern you can get for free when you buy wagtail yarn. There is a special motif, it's a lace motif, and I need that with the recommended needle size. I'm not sure I recall. 3.75 millimeter needles. That's US what? 7, I guess? 5. I will write it down below because I am absolutely not sure about what I'm doing. So you have a lace motif, and if you recall, I had a bit of a boo-boo when I first started because I was repeating the lace motif every other row when you need only to repeat every fourth row. And the 3 other rows, you have other things to do, but it's easy, it's purl or knits. But anyway, now the motif is the way it looks on the pattern. I ripped it out because I was not going to be able to live with such a mistake. So I ripped it out. I'm not sure where I am, how many repeats you have to do. I will have to have a look, but I'm past the midpoint, I think. I may knit it as long as I wanted, and I haven't shown you. This is the variegated cyan mohair. It's a very, very, very beautiful yarn from Australia. I'm extremely happy to be knitting that. I won't be wearing it for now, for sure. So you see my finger has healed enough. If you're sensitive to that, skip ahead a few minutes because I'm going to be talking about my injured finger. The nail has started to grow again and covers some part of the tip of the finger where the pieces were missing. And it's grown enough now to have a smooth surface. It's extremely sensitive, so I still have to be very careful. But it's smooth enough that no more hair gets caught into whatever was there. So this is why I decided to bring my Cowl powder puff Cowl to Paris to knit in the train, and I've worked a bit on it. Okay, next is my Rheinfall Tee t-shirt that lives into my Atelier Paulin bag, the one she gave me when I went to visit her. You will see, I filmed already the video about my visit there. I am currently editing the video because I sent her the video to her. Not for her to, of course, for her to have a look before I make it go live, but also for her to have a chance to correct any mistakes I could have said. And there were minor ones, but I'm going to be correcting all of that and editing the video, and it's going to be up a bit later. I'm not sure when. So the Rheinfall Tee, I'm knitting with that cotton that my mother gave me, and it's a very irregular cotton. So you have parts that are very thin and parts that are much thicker. It's an interesting, it produces an interesting fabric. Anyway, that t-shirt, I started over again because I made a mistake that I'm not even sure how I did that, because I'm usually very, very, very careful about not twisting my stitches when I join in the round. And so I cast it on, there were maybe 170 something. I'm sure that for the first few rows I was not twisting the stitches, and I may have not been careful enough that at some point I did started to twist them, or maybe the next row I started to twist. Anyway, I ripped everything out. I was almost a ball in, and then now I've separated for the sleeves. I haven't done much on that because as I went to Paris, I really pondered, what am I bringing with me? Cotton is heavy. I was just going overnight. I had my computer and lots of stuff to be working there. I had 2 hours of train in and back. But during my stay there, I wasn't going to be able to knit because we would work from the morning to night, and then we would have lunch where we were working, and we would go for another restaurant in the evening where close by to the hotels. So I knew I had not much knitting time other than inbound to Paris and outbound from Paris. So I said, okay, I'm not going to bring the t-shirt that is quite heavy. So I left it home and I brought, that's what I said, okay, let me bring the powder puff cowl. So I've separated for the sleeves. Now I need to be knitting on the body. I'll see, I'm not even sure how many balls of cotton I have. I think I have 6 or 7. This is my third one. I'm almost done with that one. So it's just knit and knit and knit and knit. And you're going to be seeing, I have another work in progress that you haven't seen yet. And it's so addictive to me that after I separate it for the sleeves, I stopped knitting on the t-shirt. So I need to go back knitting on that. It's going to be a very relaxed fit with a beautiful front cowl, like the rainfall waterfalls that are someplace next to where Meret Butzberger lives. I think it's a place in Germany, but she's in Switzerland. So anyway, a beautiful design. It's very well written. I like the eyelet. It's a very, very simple eyelet for the raglan parts. And then I just have to knit and knit and knit and knit, just to the length I want. And I think you do a couple rows ribbing on the sleeves before you bind off. And I'm not going to be knitting much because it's already about here. So I think it's going to be long enough. That means after I'm done with that ball, I'm going to finish the sleeves, and then I know I will have enough to finish the t-shirt up to the moment or to the length I like. So, of course, I'm knitting off gauge because I have an 18 stitch gauge for my own t-shirt and her pattern is 20. Not that much difference, not that much of a difference, but I'm knitting size M. I think it's already quite big, so maybe my stitch gauge has changed between my swatch and the way I knit, although I did swatch for stockinette. Anyway, so I'm knitting size M, and I think it's going to be fine, just a bit boxy, the way she designed the t-shirt, a bit loose and a bit drapey, and I'll see what I do for the neckline. She doesn't say anything, or at least not as far as I've seen. If it goes too wide, I don't like much too wide of colors. If it goes a bit too wide, I'll place an I-cord at the back and on the shoulders. The one little thing, I made a little modification. I knit a few short rows in the back because I like when the back is a bit longer than the front. Okay, next is a work in progress you haven't seen already. When I went to Atelier Pure Laine, I was so in love, maybe, with her own yarn, her own from her own ship, and the smell of the yarn, the smell of, I bought a 1 kilogram cone. The smell of the cone was, I had left it in my main room. Well, it was smelling so good to me. I said, okay, I need to find something. I need to cast something on. So I looked and looked and looked and looked. And as always, I found something in one of my books. It's the books It's a contrast by textured knitting by May UKP. It's Len Publishing. I guess you say Line in English, but it's Len Publishing. This book was a present from my eldest son and his girlfriend. And I decided to knit pathways. Rather than showing these pictures to you, I'm going to pop a picture here. Pathways is a triangular shawl. You start from one point end and you increase on one side up to a moment where you change the increase rate. So I'm using her, let me look at what the name of her yarn is. Yeah, so I'm using her Amsterdam, the finest one, a 3-ply yarn. And I made a swatch with the needles that were recommended in the pattern. I kind of guessed the needles were too small because the yarn is heavier than the one from the pattern samples. And I did not like the fabric. So I moved to 4mm needles, I guess. 4mm needles. And so this is the right side, but there is no problem because the shawl is completely reversible. I am completely addicted to that extremely beautiful cable pattern because you need the cable with the knit stitches on one side, but at the same time on the next repeat you need cables which are on the reverse side. So that means the shawl is completely reversible. So from the pointy end, from one end, you increase on one side. So that's this side. You increase on this side. And at some point, you start what she calls a garter triangle. I guess she calls that a garter triangle. And once you arrive at this garter triangle, you change the rate of increases. And this one is just a straight side with an I-cord that you knit on 3 stitches as you go. And on this side too, you have an I-cord that you knit as you go. A very, 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 very beautiful pattern. Easy to knit, easy to remember. I mean, at first I was reading the pattern so that I do my increases as I need to do and everything as recommended. But once you reach the garter triangle, it's always the same 8 rows that you repeat with the increases and decreases, whatever, the way she says. And it's very addictive and very beautiful. If I could tell you, if I could send you the smell of the yarn, it smells so good to me. So when I went to see her, I said, it smells like a clean barn and clean sheep. And she says, no, my sheep do not smell like that. That doesn't smell like sheep, but it does smell like sheep to me. So the fabric is a bit denser than the one that I can see from the pictures because the yarn is heavier. It's not a fingering weight. Let me see, because I don't have it in mind. I'm not sure I recall how many. So 266 meters for 100 grams. So it's a bit heavier than fingering. So it's going to be a bit denser than what the pattern calls for. But what I'm envisioning, there is with that 100 kilogram, that 1,000 kilo, 1 kilogram cone, not 100 kilogram. With that 1 kilogram cone, I want to make that. And there is a jacket I want to be making. And what I'm saying is knitting this jacket that is a bit strict to wear it with the same yarn, to wear it with this shawl that is a bit more relaxed, bit more things going on, but still very beautiful. And I don't think I will aggressively block it so that the cables continue to show. The fact that you need the cables on both sides means, I think, that the reverse stockinette, or the reverse part, on reverse stockinette part, goes deeper, and the regular stockinette cable on the right side goes higher, and there is a much bigger contrast than if you have just the cables in between plain reverse stockinette. So I think it was a very interesting idea. I had not really read the pattern before I cast on. I discovered it as I was knitting, and the more I knit it, the more I like it. The more I knit, the more I like that yarn. And yes, I am extremely happy with that. And this is why I haven't been working on my t-shirt, because this one is so much addictive. Okay, so half hour. I think that's going to be it for today. I guess it's a bit better that you have less, not 1 hour long videos, although I know how to do that. And as I was talking about my shawl, I just had an idea for a video that I will that I will film right after that one once my setup is all on, and you'll see it a bit later on. That means, yeah, I'm gonna film the video right after next, because half hour is gonna be a bit too long and it's not exactly the same subject. Anyway, this last one I can't put down, and I'm so happy to be knitting with that very rustic, untreated, natural color yarn. And this is all I like. So as I said, if we are going to be moving a little bit into life updates at the end of the video, as I said, last week was a very dense, heavy, my schedule for last week was full. So I spent 2 days in Paris for work. And I went back from the hotel to the train station walking, and that was a 1 hour and a half walk. And I was thinking, it had been raining a lot just before in Paris. So there was very little pollution, not much car pollution, that is car exhaust pollution, that is the worst in Paris. Not too many pollens. So I said, okay, that's the perfect timing to go back walking. So I woke up early this morning because my train was a bit early, and I walked for 1 hour and a half, and I took a few pictures. So I'll see, I haven't had a look yet at the pictures, I had no time. So I'll see to place pictures here and there about that walk. And I made a little detour to go through one famous place that you must know. And the 4 next days, I went back, and we had a music festival that is Beauregard, and I may talk about it in another video, but I was late in bed when I was in Paris, because I was with my colleagues, so we had a lunch and dinner, and after that we walked back to the hotel, but it was quite late, and I usually go to bed quite early. And so on the way back, I did not need, I was completely sleeping, because I had been in bed very late, and I got up much earlier to walk to the train station. So I was exhausted. I just slept for an hour or so. But then that day, for the next 4 nights, I was at a music festival. So it's rock and pop and electronica type of music. So in another video, I'll try to be talking a bit about that, because I took a few pictures and you'll see them after that. So this week is going to be a normal week for me with a normal schedule, but I have to say, I went to bed last night, it was 8 o'clock. So yes, lots of distractions, very much less knitting time, but lots of interesting things too, and lots of life events that were quite happy. So even though my own little stitches did not have that much opportunity to bring me joy and happiness, and I can't stop touching it, this one is bringing me a lot of joy and happiness. So I hope that your own knitting brings you joy and happiness, that you can have all your little stitches, or maybe one stitch, or maybe one row, bring you positive things and positive achievements in your day, because we do have to actively place joy and happiness into our life. It's not going to be coming all by itself. And I thank you very much for being here with me, and I hope I will see you next time.